Okay, well then, good morning, everybody. Our lesson today, we will continue in chapter 18, talking about graphs in general. Last time we start talking about graphs and how can we find the gradient and what do we mean by a gradient. Today we will continue talking about graphs and we will talk about the general formula of y equals mx plus c. So let's start by sharing our presentation for today. Yeah, bismillah. Yes, here we are. Okay, so this lesson, which is the graph of y equals mx plus c, first we need to introduce the general formula y equals mx plus c. It's a simple equation, okay? Yeah, here we are. What is our outcome for today? First, we will find the gradient, and then we will draw the graph of y equals mx plus c. Everybody knows that from the previous lesson that what is the gradient? The gradient, it's a number that indicates the steepness of the graph. And how can we find it? We can find it in three different ways. We can find it first if we have the graph, we will choose 2 points on the graph and we will find how many units up, how many units across. We will divide the units up over the units across and we will find the gradient. The gradient can be positive if the line was increasing, can be negative if the line was decreasing. It's if we have a horizontal line, that means we have a zero gradient, which means that it's exactly horizontal line. So and if we have a vertical line, that means that we have an undefined gradient because we have a number that is divided by the zero. Okay, so the first way, as we said, to find the gradient is when you have the graph, choose 2 points, how many units up over how many units across, and that would be the gradient, either positive, negative, or zero. Okay, if we don't have a graph and we have two coordinates that are located on this line, we simply can find the change on y divided by the change on x. So take the difference in the y2 minus y1 and divide that by x2 minus x1, and you will find the gradient. A third way to find the gradient is when we use the general formula y equals mx plus c. Okay, so today we will learn a third way to find the gradient. How can we find the gradient? We have few points that we need to concentrate on. Yeah, Melu. Okay. Okay. So this is the general formula that y equals mx plus c, okay? What do we mean by that? We have a number that is m is any number, and c is another number, okay? In this general formula, we have y, which is the variable. We have x, which is another variable. So x and y, they are two variables. Y, we have m and c, they are two numbers, okay? And they can be any number. They can be a fraction, they can be positive, they can be negative, okay? طيب. If you still can see my screen, kindly please just raise a thumb up. Boys and girls, if you can, if you can see my screen, kindly please just send a thumb up. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Judatiya. So let's share the presentation again. Okay, here we are. So we said that we have the general formula y equals mx plus c. As we said, we have y and x, these are two variables, while we have m and c, they are two numbers. What do we call m? M is the coefficient of x, while c is the constant, or it's the y-intercept. Okay, what do we mean by that? Let's go through the presentation and we can understand that. Yeah. If I have the general formula, okay, we need to draw this graph. أنا مش عارفة إيش ماله هذا. Okay, yeah. If I want to draw, for example, this graph, how can I have these numbers and how can they help me? Okay, everybody knows if we want to draw a graph, all we need to do is just to take a value for x, okay, and to substitute in the formula so we would know the values of y. Yani, for example, if I want to find a value, for example, if I suggested a value for x that is -1, how much is y? So let's see, we have, if x equals -1, directly substitute in the general formula. So we have 2 multiplied by -1 and then minus the 3. 2 multiplied by the -1, that would be -2, minus the 3, that would be -5. Okay, and then let's take another value for x. If it was, for example, 0. 0 multiplied by the x, that would be 0, which is the x, multiplied by 2, and then minus the 3, and the answer will be -3. Okay, who wants to help me find other values for x and find, suggest other values for x and find their value as y? Yeah, who wants to help in that? يعني أكرم, يعني find x equals 1. يلا يا أكرم.
So we will multiply 2 plus times 1. Then 1 minus 3.
Okay, well then we have 2 multiplied by 1 and then minus the 3, and that would be?
-2.
-1. -1. Excellent, ya Akram. Yeah. Who wants to help when x equals to 3? Huh? X is 3. بس أكرم اللي عم بيشارك. We have raising hands. Okay, let's see. في عنا سيلينا. يلا يا سيلي.
So 2 multiplied by 3 is 6, minus 3 is 3.
Okay, here we are. That's right. Bravo, Selena. Who wants to continue? 4. When x is 4, Sarah. Yalla, Sarah.
2 times 4, which equals 8, minus 3, which equals to 5.
That is right. Okay. When we wrote these numbers and we found the values of x and values of y, all we have to do is just to label these points. Yani the first point will be -2 and 7. The second point will be -1 and -5. So we have these points and we will just simply label them on the graph. Okay, here we are. We're labeling these points. And we have the third point, that is 1 with -1. Okay, and then after that we have 2 with 1, we have 3 with 3, we have 4 with 5, we have 5 with 7, and this is how we draw the graph. Okay, type, if I asked about the gradient for this graph, who can help me? What is the gradient of this graph? How can we find the gradient when we have an equation of y equals mx plus c? Okay, or when we draw the graph, how can we find the gradient? Harama, min the graph, can you help me find up and how many up and how many across? Harama, how many units up and how many units across?
I was gonna say the coefficient.
I know that you wanted to say that, and we will just say it. Yeah, how much is the gradient?
It is 4.21. It is 4 up and 2 across.
Yes.
So it is 2.
So the gradient is 2. And how can we find it when we have the equation, Yarama?
It is the coefficient of x.
It is the coefficient of x. I just want you to notice that. Thank you very much, Rama, you did a great job. If we have the graph, we can just go by how many units up over how many units across, or we just can take 2 points and find the change in y over the change in x. Or, as Rama just helped us and said, teacher, it's the coefficient of x, it's m. The gradient is m, and it's the coefficient of x. That's right. Okay, one more thing that we can talk about, which is the -3. Who can tell me -3, which is c, the constant? We said that it's the y-intercept. What does it mean? What do we mean by c is the y-intercept? Does anyone remember that? Can you remember إيش يعني c, إيش يعني y-intercept? Do we have raising hands? في حدا قادر يتذكر إيش يعني y-intercept? No one. Okay. I will talk about it but after this example. Okay. So no one is helping. Okay. So إذا كانت عندنا x equals 0, we will just substitute in the formula. So 0 multiplied by -4, that would be 0. Minus the 2 راح يطلع جواب -2. Okay. This is the first one. طيب x equals 2. 2 multiplied by -4, -8. Minus the 2 راح يطلع جواب -10. Okay, what we need to do is just to substitute these values, or sorry, label these points. So let's label the points. Here we are, and here are the numbers, and then we will draw the graph. If I just asked you, okay, what do you think the graph is? Is it a positive number or a negative number? هاي سهلة بدهاش كتير حكي. Huh?
Can you repeat the question, teacher?
Okay, Akram. I'm just saying, does this number has a positive gradient or a negative gradient? Hi, Akram.
It's positive, teacher.
It's positive gradient. أنت شايف إنه this is an increasing line?
Yes.
هذا increasing line يا أكرم. Okay. So girls, can you hear me? Please just send a thumb up. Seems there is a problem in the Zoom program today. So please, if you can hear me, just send a thumb up. I feel like I'm talking alone. Boys, thank you. Girls, if you can hear me, just please send a thumb up or a sign that you still can hear me. We are still in this meeting. Do we have any problem in our connection? Yusuf?
Teacher, we can't hear you.
I can tell, and there is a problem. Ambuli's Zoom meeting is not responding. Hello? Hello? Are we back again?
Yes.
Yes.
Ah, okay, the Zoom meeting is not responding. كل شوي بيطلع لي هذا المسج. بس مش عارفة شو ليش عم بيصير معانا هيك. Okay, now everybody's here. Good, we're back. So everybody's there. Okay, that's good. And still it's recording. بيشتغل لحاله الأخ. طيب, let's try to finish that as long as it's working before it stops. Okay, so shall I just go back again? Yeah. Shall I? I'm sharing my screen. Everybody can see me, can see the shared screen. ولا نوقف ولا شو نعمل?
I can't see it.
Now,
I can only see it. No.
Still you can see it?
Yes, it's correct.
Is it there? Huh? Is there anyone? Please, if you can see the shared screen, kindly please send me a thumb up.
Yes.
I can see it.
Yes.
Good, good, good. Okay, thank you, Akram. Everybody, Selena, Sarah, that's good, that's good. Okay, so we have responses. Tamam, tamam. Selena Muhammad, can you see my screen, darling? Good. Okay, so here we are, we just drew the graph, okay, and we find the values, we suggested values of x and we find their values in the equation using the general formula here, y equals mx plus c. We said if we want to find the gradient, how can we find it? We can find it from the graph directly. So we can find how many units up over how many units across, okay? So we just went by how many units up they were, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then how many units across they were 1, and that was negative 4 divided by 1. Why it's negative 4? Because we're going down, ya Akram. Okay, and so the gradient was negative 4 over 1, and it's a negative number. Type, teacher, what is the link between finding the gradient from the graph and using the formula y equals mx plus c? The gradient is always the coefficient of x. لما بنكون بالجنرال formula اللي هو y equals mx plus c. تمام? So the gradient is the negative 4. It's a decreasing line, and so the gradient is negative 4. Let's go to C, which is the negative 2. What is C? We said that C is a constant. It's the y-intercept. إيش يعني y-intercept? يعني هذا الجراف يا شباب ويا صبايا, it intersects with the y-axis at the point 0, negative 2. 0, negative 2. أستاذ محمد الحمد لله. هي رجع الزوم، كان عم بيعلق بعدين رجع. أنا بالحصة. حاضر أوكي، شكرا يا أستاذ. أهلا يا سيدي، أهلا، مع السلامة. Okay, so what do we have here? We have the y-intercept. The y-intercept is -2, and that means this graph intersects with the y-axis at the point 0, -2. طلع على الجراف. Where does it cross the y-axis? It crosses the y-axis at the point 0, -2. عرفنا إيش يعني y-intercept؟ يعني where does it intersect with the y-axis? Is that clear? Is there any question so far? Okay, here we are. Let's continue. We have these lines, okay, and these formulas, okay, in the general formula of y equals mx plus c. Who can help me and find the gradient for the first one? Yeah, who can help me find the gradient for the first one? Will you please raise your hands? Yalla, we have 2 participations. مين عنا؟ سيلينا، يلا يا سيلينا. يلا, come on.
The gradient of the first part is 2.
Okay, the gradient of the first one is 2. Yes, because it's... طيب, can you tell me what is the y-intercept?
5.
Excellent, thank you. يلا نشوف مين participation كمان. جود عطية، كيف حالك يا مس؟ يلا جود.
The gradient is -2.
And the y-intercept?
Is 5.
Is +5, that's right. كأني شفت طه. طه يلا يا teacher. How are you? طه? Yes, teacher. Can you hear me, طه? Okay, خلينا نشوف حدا تاني. هلا رمادني for C. What is the what is the gradient?
I can't see the slide.
You can't see the slide?
Yes, it went out of the slide. It went to the first one.
Pardon?
It opened the first slide of the PowerPoint, so I can't see.
It's only the first slide. Type, okay, we will stop this share.
Yes.
Can you see it now?
No.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. Let's wait for that. رجع يعمل مرة تانية هذا اللي Zoom is not responding. Okay, I stopped the share now. رح أرجع أعمل يا هلا شير للسكرين مرة تانية.
Okay.
يلا. So can you see a teacher now?
Not yet. No, still I can't see anything.
Well, it seems you have a problem. Who can see that? Please raise your hand. Akram, can you see the share?
It's loading.
It's loading. What about now?
Okay, we can't see.
Pardon?
Yes, it worked. It worked.
It worked. Okay, جود عطية, تمام. Thank you, Jude. So, can you see the slide now? Can we continue?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, so thank you, Akram, for your response. Thank you very much. Okay, so here we have the general formula, y equals mx plus c, and we have the gradient as the coefficient of x, which is m. The first equation, it was 2, which is m, and here we have it was -2, and in the third one, part C, we had it was 3, and in 4, it was -3. Okay, so here we have some of the straight lines, okay? These are 4 straight lines, A, B, C, and D. And we want you to write the letters, okay, of 2 parallel lines. How can we tell, we have 2 parallel lines? From where we can tell, these are 2 parallel lines. 2 parallel lines means they have the same gradient, okay? So which 2 lines has the same gradient? Which 2 lines has the same gradient? Parallel lines, they have the same gradient. So which 2 lines, they have the same gradient? Who wants to help? Boys and girls, can you see that? ما في إلا أكرم على فكرة عم بجاوب أنا عندي. هو الحصة بس لأكرم؟ Yes, Akram. Okay, boys and girls, it seems that we have a problem today in the connection. I don't know what was the problem. Anyway, I'll end up the meeting and we will repeat that tomorrow. Thank you very much. Thank you.